How's it going, everybody? We're live. We're live. I hope everything is fine. If you are hearing and seeing this, let me know if it's working, because you never know. You know, this stuff is always kind of interesting and full of surprises. I hope it is working. You know, Gabriel again, brought to you by Patreon at Gabriel Santiago. Those are the ones who are bringing me here. All right, if you want to follow me on this particular dedicated tips educational Brazilian guitar channel, do it so through Gabriel Santiago Academy and my other one as well, if you already follow me there probably. And let's start. We got a lot to talk about today. We're gonna be talking about some soloing stuff. Lots of information. Let me see if I can convince some of our Instagram friends to join us over here. Hopefully, usually they do. A lot of them join us. Let me see if they join us over here. Live, hello Instagram friends. All right, friends from Instagram, thanks for plugging in. Again, let's hop onto YouTube and go to YouTube stream to check out reverb and all that good stuff with mics and all that, and play alongs I'm gonna be using. So I'll leave this in for a little bit, and then I'm gonna switch everybody here to YouTube. All right, YouTube friends and Facebook friends and Twitch friends, everybody who's listening to this. Waiting for everybody to come in, because we got a lot to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking a bit about soloing, about a lot of good stuff. And you know, this is always a question that I get asked all the time about, you know, fluidity and all this stuff, and how to, you know, we all learn our scales and modes and stuff like that, and you know, how you make it fluid, how you make it flow, how you make it really concise, you know, all these questions. And there are a few things you can do to create that kind of phrasing and all that, right? But today I'm going to focus that in one type, you know, which I called target notes, right? There's so many names you can give this, but basically it's actually title is actually wrong. I should have written that title. Matter of fact, the right word would be probably common tones or something like that. It's just basically the idea of finding notes who connect the chords. That's the I guess the core of where I'm talking today. It's just the searching of notes that connect chords, right? If I am playing a harmony like this, playing a harmony like that, how would you approach soloing over that, right? That's kind of what we're gonna take a look today. Ways of finding notes to connect the chords and how you can integrate them with your solo into phrasing and all that good stuff, right? You know, the first thing you would think of would be, okay, I got you know, the modes and scales, whatever. I can use this scale here and I can use that thing here, but I can use, you know, the sound here, and then I can use, and then here, and then here, right? haven't played anything today, so my playing is really horrible. I'm gonna warm up as we go along. So apologies for my really imprecise performance, but the content, it was important here today. So you can take your scales and your modes and stuff, and you can, you know, you can phrase over that stuff, but how you actually make it sound great, right? Because most books or whatever, they're gonna tell you, okay, use this scale here, use this mode here, you know, phrase, you know, with this particular riff here or lick or whatever, you know, they're telling you to do. But how do you actually effectively do that, right? That's the question. One thing I would say, that's the sort of the topic of today, is find notes that connects these chords. That's today's subject. Find notes that connects all the chords, right? On this particular thing over here, I can find many notes that connects these chords, right? D, it's one note that it's in E minor. This is also on D over F sharp. This is also on G minor. This is also 11th of A. So D, let's say the letter, like the note D, is just present in all these chords, right? So D is one note that I can use, right? The ones I'm talking about today. This note connects the chords, all the chords. So if you can build something around that note, you're safe in a way, because the note connects the chords, right? Let me go for another note. Let's say the note A, right? Right? You can have that note here, also here, and also here, and also here. So A also connects the chords, right? A is also a note that connects everything. Okay, cool. Let's find more notes. Are there any more notes here? I don't know. Let's find them. Let's see if, you know, C. Let's say C. C is probably not a note that connects everything, but it might connect two chords, right? So you first find notes that connects everything, if there are any. Sometimes it, you know, the progression you use doesn't allow that, but this particular one, you have two notes that connect them, right? So D is one and A is another one, right? So when you do that, you can build your stuff around that. So sometimes I'm not thinking about a particular mode or scale or anything. I'm fixing on these notes and I'm building stuff around it, right? So if I do, you know, let's say D, see, I'm focusing on that note and I'm just embellishing that note around, picking notes from the chord that I am playing at, right? In this case, you know, E minor, so of course I'm gonna think of E minor, and I can think of, you know, E Dorian or whatever, right? I can think of D major. I can think of this, you know, scale here or whatever, and I can pick notes from that, but my focus is on that D. So here the same thing, and then here, and then on this chord, right? So that's the idea. I elected one note that connects the chords, and then I'm doing that, right? Thank you. Some comments coming up. You're welcome, Duncan. That's the idea of today, right? Picking up notes that connects chords so you can think of them instead of, you know, focusing on a scale or a mode or whatever. Just think of notes that connects. So in this particular case, D is a note that connects, right? So D connects both chords, all the chords. And I also found A, right? Previously stated. So let's think of A now. see? Already lines coming out of that. But my focus is always A, A, A. So when I'm switching chords, I'm using A to transition from one chord to another. That way, it's just a smooth transition because I know that note is also on the other chord and in the previous chord. It's going to be present in the chord that I'm going to play. So I can, even if I'm thinking of a scale or whatever, I can use that note to land or to transition to another chord. Let's say, you know, let me play this again, but now I'm going to use this A, play random stuff, scale, whatever phrase, but then I'm going to use that A to pass from a chord to another one, to use that transition. So right? That's the idea. Use notes that connect. Of course, you know, this is a harmony from this thing I'm gonna play in a second. Of course, you can design your chords to feature notes that connects them, right? It's kind of an unfair game, but if you were the composer, you can do whatever you want, right? So I like to play progressions, right? So chords that grants me notes to connect them, because I can phrase through them and use these notes to transition from one chord to another. Even if sometimes they're distant, I can always find something here and there. So I'm always looking for progression, and I can use extended, right? Triads upper structure to find those notes that connects them, right? So as much as when you get more tension, more upper structure, more thirds, more stacked thirds, more notes you have on the chord, more color you have, so more chance to find one note that connects to the next chord, even if it's distant, right? This is for the notes that actually connecting, right? How about the others? Well, the other notes will be peripheral to this whole thing. You'll be able to be like a half step away, or you know, a whole step the most, from a note, from a chord to another that connects. So you just get to go, you know, you go a half step up or down and you end, right? Let me find one here. For instance, B. It's one that's not in all chords, but it's just half step away from another one. So here, they have to go B flat because of G minor, right? But it's just half step down, right? Then back to B because of A, right? Right? B is another case. Let's look at C, right? C. If you think of this chord with like a 13 kind of sound, so it's C sharp, right? C sharp could fit in this. So then I lower to C natural because of G minor, right? Right? And then stay on C natural because of A minor, and then see, this is one case of a group of notes. They're not present in all chords, but they're a half step away from one that is. So you have this main group, which are notes that connects the chords in its entirety, and then you have a subgroup of notes that close by, and you can also use them, and then you can mix them both, right? So you can use this sort of like an anchor to build your phrase around. So you can have, let's say, one note that connects, and then a note that is half step away from it, and then this change will grant you this melodic movement that you need to create a phrase. So see, another case that now I mix both. I mix the note that connects with the notes that is half step away from what I wanna get, right? Thank you for the comments. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, brother. If you have any questions so far, please leave them in the comments, because we're having this conversation. I'm open to answer any questions you might have. And I got a question from Instagram. There's more tension in the half step. Well, yes, you definitely have this movement, because you move from a chord to another. Then you have, so you have more tension. But depends also on the chords, because some chords are more tense than others. So that particular note that is present in both chords can be more tense in a different chord and less tense in a different chord. So it just depends on the progression you're using. But thank you for the Instagram question. By the way, come to the YouTube, because I'm about to play some audio here together, and you won't be able to hear on Instagram. So come by to YouTube. So I'm gonna say hi to my friends on Instagram. Jump to YouTube, because we're here, or Facebook, and I'm about to play some audio. You wanna hear that? I'll see you over there. All right, I ended my stream for Instagram, and now we're fully here. And luckily, we didn't get any dropping frames, which was awesome. So okay, so I'm gonna play a song. It's not really a song, but it's just this thing that I did a little bit ago, and feature these things we're talking about, right? So I'm gonna be focusing on these notes that connect, right, that I was talking about, and then also playing around with those other groupings. They're half step away, a whole step away from the next note in the chord, right? So the harmony for this, for those who are pay attention when I play that, it's E minor, like E minor 9s or 11 or whatever you want, right? Then D major over F sharp, right? D with the F sharp in the bass, third in the bass, first inversion, and I'm using this case major 7 as well, and 9 if you want, right? So I'm using this, and how's it going, brother? Thank you, brother. Glad you're here. So I'm using E minor, I'm using D over F sharp, and then G minor, minor 7, 9, 11, whatever you want to use it, and then A minor 9. I like minor chords, as you can see. So the harmony is this. We already figure out that D, it's a note that is in both chords, in all chords, and we already figured out that A, it's a note that in all chords, right? And we also figure out we have peripheral notes that are half step away from one chord to another. So C sharp, we use C sharp as an example on this chord, on these chords, but then I lower to C to get to G, and then stay on C because of A minor, right? So C is a note that is half step away from a chord to another, and this subgrouping I was talking about, right? So notes that connect, notes that are really close by to the desired resolution, right? Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Glad you got some ideas. So let me play this now. And then there's actually like a little theme, which is, something like that. This is kind of the harmony at the beginning, and then we go to the solo section. Then that's where I'm going to be phrasing and talking about, and just phrasing about all the stuff we're talking about. So let's see how that sounds. Just double check. Yeah, this is the one. And let me know if the track is loud or not. Like, go. Ah. Here go the harmony. A bit more guitar, so last of the track. E minor, G, A, E minor, D of F sharp, G minor. And there we go. Something like that, right? So things that I played here, the exact things we talked about, right? So I was really kind of focusing on those two notes that we found on this sequence, D and A. Those were my main notes that I was really paying attention to, and everything was just kind of circling around those notes, right? So I was using these two notes to kind of make my argument, right? And then you see that I was doing stuff like F was a note that I was adjusting at will. Whenever I was reaching a chord that fit F sharp, I played F sharp. Whenever the chord changed to F natural, I changed it. So the two first chords fit an F sharp, right? When I got to G minor, I put F natural because it's just obvious, right? So I adjust it, right? And then when I got to D, when I got to A minor, I went back to F sharp. So F is another note that you can adjust accordingly, right? You can tweak it. So when the chord changes, you change with the chord, right? Right, so you can do that. Another note that was around that I talked about was C, right? I was talking about C. Right, I was adjusting. Most of the changes happen from E, D over F sharp to this G minor. It really kind of changes a little the direction that you're going with that harmony. Because usually if I play in D major, right, I would go to a G major. In this case, I went to G minor, right? So I have to do the proper adjustments, right? F sharp becomes F natural, and then C sharp becomes C natural, right? And then you have this parallel movement from G to E minor. And then you can carry some of this around, and some of this you can, stay, and some of them changes, like C's and one that stays. right? But F is one that I altered, like right. So I was thinking about those two groupings, right? Notes that connect everything, and notes that I can adjust. And then I was playing around those notes and building relationships with them, right? So right, a phrase that I played and then I repeated, but making the proper adjustments with the chord. So if I know F sharp, it's in the game of the two first chords, and then I have to adjust it to F natural. So I made the adjustment here, and then always landing in a note that connects the chords. So that's the main tip of today, right? Because I know that note is present, you know. Right? And if you see the arrangement, that note's in there. I put a pad over there to just kind of get a smooth transitions. C, same thing, right? Right? Let me play a little bit over the changes so you can see that. Here we go. See? C is being altered. But see, they're always supported by D at the end, right? So you make the proper adjustment, and then you kind of resolves into a note that connects it smoothly, right? This is a big theme, altered chords and scales. Well, here's the thing, Manuel. In this particular example and topic, I'm really not even thinking about altered chords and scales. I'm thinking about those notes. You know, of course, I'm playing upper structure chords, right? I'm playing, you know, E minor 11th or, you know, 13s and stuff, and then, you know, the major 9th with the third, the bass, G minor 11. But that's just to make the melody smooth, and then I don't have to really do any kind of crazy sounds, because the sounds are always already there on the color. So I just alter this note here and that note there, and that kind of does the job, right? So I'll play a little bit more. So just focus on these notes that I'm playing, A and D, notes that the glue everything together. That's the glue, right, from the chords. And then these little notes I'm altering. C sharp to C, so C being altered, C sharp to C natural, and F sharp to F natural, right? Focus on those notes and you see how it just transitions smoothly, right? There we go. F sharp, F natural, see? So you see that it's easy for me to transition from this, just kind of walking through these chords with ease, because I am so hearing those notes that glue things together. I'm just so listen to them. I hear all them, and it's just like, you know, really, they just kind of lay down this path that I can, you know, walk in accordingly if I need to, like, do a proper, you know, steer a little bit to the left or to the right here, you know, like on that C note, for instance, I'm C sharp, oh, or, you know, F sharp, ah, like I can do all this proper transitions, right? If you want to think of, you know, saying E minor pentatonic runs pretty good. Oh, let's see. Let's see if it runs pretty good. I'll show you if it runs pretty good. Let's see. Let's see if it holds up. That's E minor pentatonic, okay? So it runs in some of the chords, but you can't play E minor pentatonic over G minor, because you got this little guy here. You got this B natural that it's not gonna do you any good here, right? So it runs pretty good until a certain point. You have to adjust that, right? So what is the you know, solution for that? Well, let's look into it, right? E minor works on E minor, right? If you're thinking about pentatonics, right? And if you're gonna play over here, over that D, you have the fourth of the chord. If you're careful, you know, with the G, you might land, but here it's a no, because you're against B flat against G, so you have to play some else there, right? So you're saying, sorry, B minor. Okay, let's look at B minor. This is what's happening when you play B minor. Same problem when you get to G minor. You have the same problem, right? You got the B natural against B flat, right? So you gotta do something about that G minor chord. So you can't play B minor on everything. You can definitely play over E, it's great. And this kind of passes, and then you gotta do something about this. And then here, you can get the Dorian sound, right? You can get that sound here, it works. But on that G minor, you gotta do something about it, right? So it's tough to find a pentatonic here that will work for everything, because B and B natural and B flat are just like non-negotiable on this case, right? So let's look at what we could do pentatonic wise, right? What you can do though is G major, D minor. That works, right? If you transition from one to another, especially on that G minor, it might do you some good. So right, then you can use that here. G major pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. That works, right? You can do it. Let's see. As long as you change to G minor on G minor, right? Another thing you can do is you can use D major, right? Then D minor, then D major again. If you do both pentatonics, D major, then D minor on that G minor, you can also, you can also work well. D major, D minor, D major. See? Pentatonics. D major, D major, D minor, D major back again. The thing is, this progression, that G minor really kind of steers the ship into a different place. That it's hard to argue with not acknowledging that B flat, So usually it's probably like a two pentatonic approach that you could use that. And then triads the same, right? I can use the triads the same way the pentatonics. So if I stick to D major, D as in dog, right? D major, and then on G minor, D minor triad, I can also get good sounds, right? So mixed with pentatonics here, but D major triads, D minor with pentatonics. Right? Triads. A little bit of triads. There we go. D major, D minor. So triads will give you options also, but D major, D minor, like altering those two, will get you there as well. But I wanted to tie this with what I'm talking about. Let me answer this question over here from Ítalo. Bola Gabriel. Obrigado, cara. Obrigado, Ítalo. Ítalo is just saying that there's many possibilities and stuff, and he recognized some Brazilian-ness into what I'm playing. Obrigado, cara. Faz uma pergunta. Fica à vontade a perguntar o que você quiser, tá? Estamos aqui batendo esse papo com todo mundo. Fica à vontade para perguntar. I want to stress that even though I was thinking about D major, D minor, think about my melodic choices here. I was doing I was using D on the top of my melodies. So you see that D and A, like D, A, were present in my phrasing, which are two of those notes I was talking about in the beginning. The connects, right? If I just play them and not play the third of the triad, I can get by just by playing those, right? I can play this like, you know, you see, I'm literally using two notes. Literally two notes. That's the only two notes I use now. And you make stuff happening because those two notes glue them together. They glue to the other chords. So just creative with the rhythm, right? So I'm just kind of claiming on the rhythm. So I'm just, you know, just jamming with the rhythm. But those two notes, they're great for all chords. And in this case of the D major, D minor triad that, you know, I was talking to Manuel, so you have the F sharp, right? If I keep those two notes, they're like great and work, and I just switch them, this F sharp in the right place, so F sharp to F natural when I get to here, then you get a nice sense of phrasing. You're making the proper alterations when you get there, and the other stuff is just holding everything together. Like some play a little bit more. So exploring the major and minor triads. I'm not really doing much, honestly. I am still focused on those two notes, and that, in this case, the F sharp that resolves into F natural. I'm not doing much. You see, I'm adding this note and this note. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you, Manuel. Every single note you play there. Oh, that's a nice compliment. Not every time. I try to make them. I try to make an effort to play them nicely, though. That's true. And that's another tip for you guys when you practice, right? This is practice, right? Every time you practice anything, even if you just sit down and play, you know, or scales or whatever, always try to put some effort into two things. Two things, they're very, very important. And I'm gonna even write them here on that caption stuff that I can. I will write them and put them here. Add caption. And now I'm going to show them. Just two things. Two things. Time and sound. You should always have those as your mantra. Time and sound. So that's why when I'm playing, joking around and just kind of messing up an instrument, but time and sound are there because I effortlessly practice those in any single note I play. Even if I'm doing this exercise, you know, I'm making an effort on every sound, every note I'm playing. There's this concept of sound that I'm really like paying attention to it, the way I'm touching the strings and phrasing and all that, and the timing, you know, time. That's why when I was phrasing using two notes, literally two notes, right? I'm just making stuff happening because of the time, because I'm paying attention to time and sound, right? So even using two notes, I'm exploring time and sound. So those two things are super important. You never forget those. Anything you do when you're practicing, when you're doing anything, you should think of those two things. So even if you're just practicing your scales, right? You know. Doing that, you should be thinking about those two things. So anytime you play, time and sound. But now going back to what I was talking about, notes that glue things together, notes that connect, right? This is the subject of today, right? Let me see if I can find another example here of this example I was using. Oh man, I had this other thing here and I didn't open it. Let me see if I can I can get that here. Supposed to open and it didn't. Okay, let me go find this. Bear with me for a second. There's this play along thing. I was getting it and I'm not finding it. Okay, I think I found it. I found it. Okay, it's here. So there is this tune, this Brazilian song that I really like, and it's called Blue Train, Trem Azul, right? It's a interesting song because it has all major 7 chords. Listen to the first part, right? So we have everything's major chord, just parallel major chords. D major, then B flat major, then F major 7, then C major 7. Nice. That's a good song to exemplify this thing I'm talking about. There's not really a key in which you have all these chords together, right? So you can't play one thing through the whole chords, right? So you have to be moving up on your sounds, and then you can apply exactly this thing I'm talking about. So let's identify notes that connect, right? Note that glue the thing together, right? I can already tell you that A is a note, one of those notes, right? So if I play A, right? So D, A is present in D, in B flat, in F, also present in C, right? So I can use that note to connect everything, right? Let's find more notes, you know. How about D, right? So D also works for the whole thing, right? So you have D and you have A. Oh, those two notes from the other song too. So if I play those two notes, I can navigate through this whole harmony I'm about to play, right? So play those two things. Let me play the play along. Play the play along. Interesting phrase. Play the play along, right? Let's play that and see. Just get acquainted. That's the harmony. D major, B flat, major, F major, C major. Cool. Now let's play those two notes and see how they connect the whole thing. All right? 2, 1, A. Now let's try D and see if it also works. Okay. Back to A. Back to D. Right? They all work, right? Better than others in different chords, but they all fit. D is the root of D, so that's probably the, the least interesting, sort of, because you get the major 7, so you kind of have the, then is the 3rd of B flat, and there's a 6/13 of F major, then is the 9/2 of C, right? And then A is the 5th of D, is a major 7 of B flat, it's a major 3rd of F, and is a 6/13 of C. So they all work. So we're gonna use the same thinking behind it. So great, those two notes work, but there's so many things you can do, all these notes, right? So how about C? Like C, let's see if C works. If I'm playing C over D major, then I have to play C sharp, right? Then when I get to B flat, I have to play C natural, right? Because it's 9th of B flat. Then C is also part of F, so I keep C. Then C is part of C, right? So you only kind of have a difference here, C sharp and the first chord. So then you already have this movement. And then it stays here. But this little movement is the half step, right? It's great. How about if you combine that with stuff that you already know that works? So see how you start to piece things together and create this material, these fragments, right? And it's just based out of this thing I'm talking about. I'm not thinking of scales or anything, right? Based on the structure of the chords and these notes that connect them, and the ones that are not connected in every chord, but I can, steer here, left or right or in a half step, whatever, right? So let's see that again happening. See? See, that's when you start creating and start like building these fragments. So C sharp is a note that I can alter to C. Okay. How about let's think of another note. Let's say F. Right? F in D major. I should probably play F sharp. And down to F natural to B flat, right? Then F is an F, right? And then when I get to C, then you can decide if you play the fourth. It's very weird, right? To play the fourth on that major chord. I can alter that F to F sharp to get a sharp 11 sound. And there we go. You have F sharp, F, and then F sharp back. So combining those with the ones you already know, let's say A again and D, look at what you have now. 2. You see how much we're already doing with not that much, right? It's just identifying the notes that are connecting these chords, to glue them together, and the subgroup of notes that are really kind of around, neighboring those notes. They can alter them, up or down, and you already have a lot to do, right? So with that in mind, you can already do so much, and then you can draw your own conclusions. Let's say, this whole F sharp going to C, and C sharp going to C natural, or F sharp going to F. Okay, interesting. So I have this, oh, interesting. I can do D major, D minor, and when I get to B flat, right? And I can repeat that on F. And then on C, I can do that D major again to get that Lydian sound. Okay, so now I have triads. Okay, so I can use D major, D minor, D minor, D major. Okay, let's explore that. See, you keep expanding the concepts, but it's all based on these things I'm talking about, right? Identifying the notes that connect and the neighbor notes around, right? And the subgroup of notes that are almost there. If I push a little bit, up or down, they fall into the chord nicely, right? Even in a situation like that, you have 4 chords that they're sort of the same quality of chord, but they don't really follow the same key, so I have to address them individually. There's so much you can draw in terms of common tones, like the tones that connect, right? So if I follow that, then I can do all this stuff. I can create these little fragments and keep developing them, right? That's what I show on the other exercise, and those are things you can do here, right? So this is, all I wanted to talk about today, and I appreciate you guys stick around. If you have any other questions, let me know now. Write them, and I'll address them. And otherwise, I'll see you the next time, right? Reminding you to join my Patreon if you wish. It's pretty cheap, $5 a month, and you can access to a lot of content. I'm shooting content for Patreon this week, actually, for those who are there. Interesting new things. If you want to follow me on my Instagram for this type of thing, the Academy, do so. And also my other Instagram, putting content all the time. I really appreciate you guys here. So we got I'm not thinking Glue Notes is really different, but yeah, I think about that all the time. Notes that connect. I'm always looking for these notes that connect things. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for plugging in. I'm gonna play a little bit of this. Hey, Alexander, thanks for plugging in, brother. If you have any questions, just feel free to write them, man, and I'll approach them. We talk about it. I'll play a little bit of this Blue Train song, Trem Azul, and then say hi to you guys, and then meet you guys next week, same time, the same bad time, bad signal, right? The whole bad thing, bad timing, bad schedule, bad place, bad location. Same time, Tuesday, noon Central Time. Let me play a little bit of this, right? Out of tracks. I had a longer version of this, but it is more spaced out chords. And play another one. Try another one. Something like that, just like throwing notes in the ether, right? Not really thinking much, just kind of stretching my fingers, but trying to show you all the time that, no matter what the progression is, basically, the most intricate and complex and whatever, right? You still can do all those things if you know which notes to connect, right? I'll play one thing here that's crazy hard. This Pat Metheny song, See the World. I have this play along I made. The same principle. So many chords to fly around, but I'm gonna find these notes that connect on these particular chords. Right? Even to play things, I'll play a little bit because I haven't really practiced in this one. This is extremely hard, but the example is true here as well, right? So we have this, right? To solo on this right now, I won't be that good, but think of the concept. Ah, something like that, right? It's a crazy, crazy hard song that we can definitely address in a different one, but a different life. But even in the extreme, which 1,000 chords flying around me, it just saved me today. I haven't been practicing this tune. This is a tune that you have to be practicing a lot to solo on because so many things are flying around. What it could, what made me kind of survive a little bit was that I hear these notes and I just clammed on them, right? So I just used them to kind of transition them smoothly through the chords. It just is not that good, but it saved me today, right? So this is a clear example of hearing these notes, finding the notes that connect, that glue things together. It's a great asset, a great tool to have, a great device to use when you're dealing with chord progressions, when you have to play through chords, right? This is what I really love to talk today. And again, I appreciate you guys plugging in and, tell an amigo to tell another amigo that I'm here every Tuesday at noon Central Time. So noon Central Time is being apparently a good timing to everybody. It's a bunch of people in Europe, and sometimes you don't get to see some of these lives, but this time seems to be good for people all around. Right? People in Japan have been asking about it, so it's like midnight or 1 in the morning to them right now. But they still can follow, and people here in the West Coast and the East Coast, and us in the Central Time, so everybody can kind of follow that. So I'll be back next Tuesday, and thank you so much again to be plugging in and spending this time with me. Don't hesitate to ask me questions. When you have these streams, that's what it's for, right? For us to interact and talk about music and questions you have. I'm happy to address all of them. All right, I'll see you next time. Tuesday noon Central Time. All right, have a great day and evening if you're on the other side of the planet, and